Hello comic lovers, welcome to the 10th episode of the Boys comic series. In the previous episode, we saw Butcher and Huey go to Tech Knight's keep, where Tech Knight gives false information about Swingwing to trap him. Meanwhile, Huey can't control his bladder and ends up peeing on the closed door of Tech Knight's bathroom. Later, Max tells Huey that he sent Steven to meet Swingwing. On the other hand, after Tech Knight's butler resigns, he reveals all of Tech Knight's secrets, making Tech Knight even angrier. The boys take advantage of the situation and go back to Tech Knight's keep to meet him. After a little beating, Tech Knight tells them about an incident between his Talon and Swingwing, and we learn that there has been enmity between Tech Knight and Swingwing since the event. We also find out that Tech Knight doesn't really know anything about Steven and Swingwing. One thing that's similar between the comic and the Boys TV show is that in the comic, Tech Knight trusts his butler, and that butler becomes the reason for Tech Knight's downfall. Similarly, in the TV show, Tech Knight has complete faith in his butler, and that butler kills Tech Knight. Now, before moving on, I have a request for you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It motivates us to create better content for you. Also, if you haven't followed us on social media platforms, please do so. And if you want to support the channel, you can support us on Buy Me Coffee. If you want to enjoy the Boys comic without any filters, the correct reading order is also available for you. All these links will be available in the video description. So after all that, let's start this issue of the Boys. As Butcher leaves after hearing about what happened between Tech Knight, Swingwing, and Talon, he says, "Well, you've helped us out quite a bit by telling us all this, so thanks again, fuckmonger." Tech Knight mutters, "My name is Tech Knight." As Butcher walks out, he says to Huey, "So, after whatever happened that night between Talon, Swingwing, and Tech Knight, they both became infatuated with Talon and became enemies of each other in their pursuit of her. And then, I don't know, this incident has surprised me too. I mean, whatever happened that night could explain Tech Knight's lust problem, but it's still weird." Huey replies, "It doesn't matter." Butcher keeps going, "And we also found out that Swingwing isn't gay, but now I don't understand why he killed Steven Rubenstein." Huey says again while walking, "It doesn't matter." Huey continues, "Look, society often labels some people as gay, like that guy must be one, and he should just admit it and move on, etc. But such people are just trying to appear smarter. But their smartness is just like those high school kids who jokingly call each other sweetie. And unfortunately, we were doing the same thing in Swingwing's case. We were so lost in trying to figure out if Swingwing is interested in boys or girls that we didn't even realize if it was important for us to know or not. Not only that, we did the same thing in Tech Knight's case. We read the newspaper headline and assumed that Tech Knight had something to do with it." In response, Butcher says, "But we could never have guessed what happened between them." Huey says, "And you talked about motive, so who do you think killed Rubenstein?" Huey says, "I think we should talk to Swingwing directly now." Butcher replies, "Not a problem, because now we have his address." After this, the scene changes and we move to Swingwing's apartment. As soon as Swingwing enters, someone asks him, "Hi Swingwing, what's up, son?" Then we see that Huey and Butcher are already standing inside the room. Seeing both of them, Swingwing says, "Who are you and what are you doing in my apartment?" Huey asks, "What happened between you and Steven Rubenstein?" Swingwing angrily asks, "I asked who you are." "Are you the police? Because if so, I would like to see your ID first." Hearing this, Butcher laughs and says to Huey, "This is cool, isn't it, Huey? That Tech Knight told us everything so easily, but this one is not doing that." Huey tells Swingwing Steven found out where you go to change your costume after community meetings. Either he was waiting for you there, or he must have followed you. So I want to know what happened between you two after that. Swingwing, while putting his stuff away, says, "I don't know who Steven is. If there really is someone like that, then either you get out of here now, or show me your ID because I'm going to call now." Just then Huey cuts him off and says angrily, "Listen to me. 6 months ago, that boy was found dead in an alley. Do you know what kind of look he had on his face when he was dying? One of despair, not fear or anger, just despair. So now either you tell me the truth, or I will beat the truth out of you." Hearing this, Swingwing hits Huey with his stuff and tries to run away from there. Butcher deliberately doesn't chase after him. Instead, he tells Hughie, "Don't just lie here, go after him." Hughie, while chasing him, says, "I'm going towards the roof." Butcher replies, "I'll corner him from the fire exit side." Hughie and Butcher go their separate ways. When Butcher reaches the exit, he lies to Hughie, saying, "Sorry Hughie, but the ladder is broken here. You'll have to catch him yourself." You might have already understood why Butcher lied to Hughie. If you haven't, let me clarify. Basically, in the previous issue, Butcher makes Hughie understand that they have to engage in violence in their work, but Hughie doesn't fully agree with this. To make Hughie realize this, Butcher intentionally leaves Hughie alone with Swingwing so that Hughie is also forced to engage in violence when needed, and he realizes what Butcher meant. On the other hand, Swingwing is about to fly off the roof wearing his superhero suit when Hughie jumps from behind and knocks him down. In an attempt to free himself, Swingwing tries to harm Hughie. Hughie says to himself, "I can't hit him. I can't hit him." Meanwhile, Butcher also tells Hughie, "Don't be a coward, Hughie. Hit him." Just as Swingwing is about to harm Hughie, Hughie reluctantly punches Swingwing hard, also breaking a piece of equipment on his eyes. After that, Butcher also comes up and happily says to Hughie, "Well done, son." Then Butcher puts his foot on Swingwing and says, "Tell us about Steven Rubenstein." Swingwing starts telling the truth. "Yes, I changed my costume in the motel. He was waiting for me on the roof, hiding. As soon as I took off my mask, he suddenly appeared in front of me. I didn't have a problem with that. He was annoying. But he wasn't the first one to find out about my real identity. I changed my dress before going home, and during that time, many people find out about my real identity. But anyway," Butcher asks, "Then what?" Swingwing continues, "Then we talked a bit, and surprise, surprise, again the same old tired homo bullshit. He's also young, his family doesn't know about him being gay, etc. But then he started telling me about a boy he really likes, without whom he can't live. But he's afraid to tell him. I knew he was talking about me somewhere, but still, I acted like I didn't know. So I told him, 'Steven, you have to talk to him. You have to tell him about your feelings.' Steven replies, 'But I'm afraid he'll reject me.' So Swingwing says, 'Then so be it. Look, you're not even 20 years old, and I can guarantee you that even if he rejects you, it won't be the end of the world for you. But you can't always be troubled by this. You have to tell him.' 'Okay, Steven.' Steven replies, 'It's you?' After this, Steven holds Swingwing's hand and says, 'It's you. Understand me, Swingwing?' Swingwing pulls away and says, 'Get away from me.' 'Get away?' Steven says, 'Look, listen to me. I need you.' Swingwing angrily says, 'I said, let go of my hand.' In the midst of this conversation, they don't pay attention that they have reached the edge of the roof while talking. In an attempt to free himself, Swingwing gives Steven a hard push, and Steven falls off the building and dies. Hughie, so what did you do then? Swingwing, look, it was an accident. I didn't even realize that we had reached the edge of the roof. Butcher responds to Hughie's question, meaning, he did the same thing that all these soups do, make a mistake and then run away from there. Hughie, but why were you afraid of Steven? You spent so much time with gays. Swingwing, that wasn't me, that was Swingwing. What I mean is, when I'm in my superhero form wearing a mask, suit and jetpack, I don't have to talk much to anyone or go near them. But this Steven came right up to my face and even grabbed my hand. Swingwing continues, do you think I like hanging out with these people? This is all just good for what? For the comic book readers, Swingwing will treat gay people well, he will fight for us. But has anyone ever asked Swingwing what he thinks about this? No. And yet, I have to shake hands with them, smile in front of them, talk to them. After listening to Swingwing's long rant, Butcher says to him, well, you had a lot on your mind then. Now stand up. Helping Swingwing stand up, Butcher continues, you've been a bad person, and you'll have to pay the price. You will continue being Swingwing, fight crime, and keep meeting people. Payback will now replace Tech Knight, and that will be your golden opportunity. You will keep your eyes and ears open, we will stay in touch with you from time to time, and you will tell us all the inside information. And when we feel that you have served your sentence for whatever happened with Steven, we will let you know. Swingwing is about to say something, when Butcher says good. Now get out of here. And with that, finally Steven's case gets solved. Then the scene changes where Butcher and Hughie are sitting in a restaurant. Hughie says, I feel like I've been sleeping for a week. Butcher asks, aren't you hungry? Hughie replies, no. Butcher continues, you're surprised why I let that boy off so lightly? Hughie says, no, because you haven't let the boy off lightly at all. You will make his life hell and use him as a pawn. Meaning you've got more power. I'm also tempted to take advantage of it once or twice. But yeah, I'm not surprised because now I've realized that I've stepped into this kind of world. I mean, we solved the mystery, but Steven still hasn't gotten justice. We're just gathering another intel for ourselves and playing this game. We'll have to admit that we're doing this case only because you needed to be up to date about Soups, and Legend needed to know about his sister's grandson. But I don't think he cares much about it either. After which Butcher says Legend doesn't even have a sister. Hughie asks in surprise, what? Butcher explains that he is the only son of his parents. Hughie inquires about the rest of the story. Butcher says he doesn't know, but he wonders if Legend might have also read about this boy and heard about a possible Soup angle. After that, he might have thought that a boy died for whom no one would stand up to raise their voice, so why not do something himself? Maybe Legend is more like Hughie than he thinks, but he just doesn't want to admit it, which is why he's taking the support of these excuses. Who knows, maybe he also enjoys torturing Soups. Hearing this, Hughie is surprised and lost in thought. Butcher continues, you did a great job this time, Hughie. You noticed many things that I missed, but at the end we were successful, and in this happiness I am giving you a chance to pay my food bill. After Butcher's joke, the scene changes. In the next scene, a few days after these events, Hughie and Paul meet, where Hughie tells Paul everything about Swingwing and Steven. Paul says, so Swingwing was behind all this? Hughie replies, yes, something like that. I thought you should know. Paul mentions that Swingwing was seen on some news channel last week, where it was reported that he died in a fight. We then learned that Swingwing was killed in an accident within those few days. Hughie explains, look, I shouldn't tell you this, but actually his jetpack malfunctioned mid-air and he died. People keep making up the rest of the story to cover up the real story. Paul says, so there was no justice, but there's no mystery either. Anyway, thanks Constable Campbell. At that moment, Hughie notices Max standing at a distance, glaring at both of them. Paul says, oh, this idiot is following me everywhere. But Hughie explains to Paul, look, whatever happened, I don't think Max knew much about Swingwing. I mean, no one really knew Swingwing well. After that, Paul forgives Max and they reconcile. Hughie, watching them from afar, says, so what do you guys know about love stories? From behind, Butcher says, two people finding each other. Hearing this, MM and Hughie look at Butcher in surprise. Butcher asks, what? The scene changes again, and we see Tech Knight walking without his suit, thinking, I used to be Tech Knight, but now I'm nothing. Nothing at all. Suddenly he sees a woman walking ahead with a small child in her arms, and a wheelbarrow, or, in simpler terms, a cart is about to fall on them. However, Tech Knight quickly rushes and saves them from the cart. The woman thanks Tech Knight, and he notices a meteor shower raining down from the sky. In the background, we hear the voice of some scientists explaining that a meteor shower is hitting Earth, and a large meteor is about to collide with Earth. The special thing about this meteor is that it has a strange-looking hole. Tech Knight goes to the scientists and says, if there's a hole in it, don't worry, I'll handle it. Tech Knight goes to space and starts doing, all that stuff with the meteor. Suddenly he blasts from his suit, causing both him and the meteor to explode. Tech Knight's sacrifice saves Earth. But here comes a quite strange but important twist, because in the next scene, we see Hughie and Butcher, where Hughie tells Butcher that the coroner found a tumor the size of a fist in Tech Knight's head. Can you imagine that? To which Butcher replies, meaning the cart falling on him did Tech Knight some good. So if you didn't understand what exactly happened to Tech Knight, let me explain. Basically, the cart that was about to fall on a woman and her child, Tech Knight saved the woman from it, but the cart fell on him instead, and he fell unconscious there and died some time later. But now you must be thinking, what about that meteor and Tech Knight's sacrifice? Well, as Hughie mentioned in the last scene, Tech Knight had a very large tumor in his brain, which was found after his post-mortem. Due to this, his mental state was not fine. So the meteor and his sacrifice were actually his own imagination while dying, and nothing like that actually happened in reality. Not only that, but the sudden cause of his big lust problem was also the same tumor. So you can see that the comic writers didn't even let Tech Knight have a proper death. By the way, if you have watched season 4 of The Boys TV show, even there, Tech Knight had an ordinary death. So this was the conclusion of The Boys Volume 3, Get Some. In this volume, the evolving relationship between Hughie and Butcher was shown, where Hughie wanted to ignore many things even after seeing them at the start of the volume. By the end of the volume, he realized that now he will have to become a part of such a world and will have to follow its ways. Something similar happens with Hughie's character in the early seasons of The Boys TV show as well. Butcher also realized that even if some things don't matter to him, they might matter a lot to other people, and he should sometimes consider others as well. If you liked the video, then like it, share it with friends. You can also follow Comic Groove on social media from the link given in the description and know the correct reading order of The Boys comic book and enjoy this comic series without any filter. So thank you for watching, comic lovers. See you in the next video.